One of my very favorite things to do with tomatoes is to make salsa. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make some salsa. Well, the very first thing you want to do is to blanch your tomatoes, or you can roast them. I chose to blanch mine just because that's what I'm used to doing. You'll cool them down after you boil them for about 3 minutes, and then you'll drain them. Then that will allow you to be able to peel the skin very easily off of the tomato. Now you're going to cut up your tomato, and whenever I chop mine and make it for salsa, I always squeeze out the excess juice and seeds as I go, and that just keeps you from having to cook it down as much after you get everything chopped and peeled. See all the extra juice there in the corner? That'll be a little too juicy for salsa, so you will eventually have to cook that down. And there's all that's left over. Some people make tomato juice with that. I usually just throw mine into the compost bin. So now I'm going to go ahead and chop this up into the sized pieces that I like. I usually do use the immersion blender a little bit at the end anyway, so I don't worry about it. If I get some pieces a little too big, then I actually like it. You can also use a food processor for this part if you like. So after getting all of these tomatoes chopped up, I have chopped up enough tomato to equal about 4 cups. Look at all of those beautiful colors. Next up, I'm going to peel this onion. So you can put in whatever kind of onion you like. I like to use Vidalia onion. And this is a new gadget that I got last year. It's called the Vidalia Chop Wizard. And I think it's great for chopping up onions. All you have to do is slice them the thickness that you like them and just put them in there and give them a good chop. It's one of the best things I've ever used for chopping onions, actually. It comes in a couple different sizes. For the salsa, I used the larger pieces. If the pieces are too big, you may have to cut them in half a little bit. Look how nice and uniform those are. Beautiful. Now we're just going to start adding everything to a pot. I start mine off on medium-low as I'm adding stuff in, and that way it can go ahead and be warming up. These are peppers that I grew in the garden last year. They freeze really nicely. These are just sweet bell peppers that I've added, and that is 1 cup. And I'm adding enough onion that equals about 1 cup. I didn't measure it. It is 1 whole onion. I don't worry about measurements too much when it comes to onions and peppers. But I'll give you the correct ratios at the end. I will include that in the description. These are some hot peppers that I grew this year. It is jalapenos and some poblanos, mostly jalapenos though. And that's what I'm going to be using in this salsa. And I'm also going to change over the attachment for the smaller pieces for the jalapenos. And you actually don't have to slice them. You can just take a whole jalapeno, slice it in half, and put half at a time on the Vidalia Chop Wizard, and it works great like that. I don't know why I sliced them. I didn't really think about it until after I had already sliced them. Another note, make sure you wear gloves when you are handling hot peppers, because after you're finished with them, it may not burn your hands, but if you rub your eyes or something, it can burn your eyes. see the smaller pieces there. You do not have to use as many jalapenos as I did. I like for my salsa to be just a little spicy. You should at least use one though, because it just flavors it so much that it just tastes so good. Look at all that color. It's beautiful. Stir it up really good. Now we're going to start adding the spices. This is a little bit of salt. This is 1 teaspoon. Now we're going to add some pepper, and I just add pepper to taste. I don't really measure it. I also love this little gadget here. I bought this off of Amazon, I think. I'll try to find a link for it and put it on here in the description. It is a battery operated pepper dispenser, and it dispenses fresh ground pepper. It's not like anything I've ever used before. Y'all, it's a game changer if you make stuff that requires a lot of pepper and fresh ground is your favorite. It does not wear your arms out twisting and twisting and twisting. It's awesome. Now we're going to add a little bit of vinegar. I forget the measurement, but I think it's a 1/4 cup. Like I said, I will include the recipe in the description. Now this is just for a small amount of salsa. And whenever you have tomatoes coming in, and you don't always have the same amount, you have to kind of use a ratio guideline instead of a specific recipe. There are specific recipes, but whenever you use fresh garden tomatoes, it's easier for me to just use a ratio. That way, no matter how many tomatoes I have, I can make some salsa. And the tomatoes that I had was 4 parts. I used 1 part onion. I used 1 part of the green peppers, and then I just added some jalapenos, however many I thought would be good in it. So use your own judgment when it comes to jalapenos. Just remember, it is always hotter with the seeds. Now we're going to add a little bit of minced garlic, and I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. You can also use garlic cloves, you can use garlic powder. Now we're going to add a little bit of cumin. Not everybody likes cumin in their salsa. I love it in mine. It's one of my main ingredients always. And so I'm going to put some cumin in it, just 1 tablespoon. And some lime juice. And I am going to use 1/8 cup of lime juice. You can also use lemon juice if you don't have lime juice on hand. Now you're going to just bring it to a slow boil, just a simmering boil. And I usually keep mine over medium-low heat. It just depends on the stove that you have or the kind of pot that you use. You have to stir it every now and then so that it does not stick. And you're just going to simmer it until it cooks down and reduces to the consistency and the thickness that you would like. Now if you've got fresh cilantro in your garden and you want to go out and pick some, then that's what I would do if I were you, and that's what I done. And then just give it a good fine chop, and I put it in toward the end. Now I'm just going to use my immersion blender and make it a little bit thinner. Some pieces are a little bigger than I like them, so I'm going to use my immersion blender and just cut it up a little bit more. And if you don't have enough liquid in your pot, you may want to tilt it sideways and get all that liquid in one corner, because that immersion blender will splash it out everywhere. There, that is perfect. That's exactly the way that I like it. Some chunky pieces in it. My favorite. Oh, and now it's time for the taste test, y'all. Look at that. Put it on a chip. Oh my goodness. Wow. That tastes so good. That definitely gets a thumbs up. Actually, 2 thumbs up. Now you can can this if you would like. I ended up canning just a couple jars, a couple pint-sized jars. And then I had just a little bit left over, and so I put it in a smaller jar. Now this is not a video on canning, so I'm not going to give instruction on how to do that. But if you would like a video on canning, I'd be glad to do one. You just let me know in the comments section, and I'll do one the next time I make salsa or canned tomatoes or green beans or something. Well, thank you all for joining me today. I hope that you have enjoyed the content, and I hope that you try this recipe. It is so good. If you like salsa at all, you will love this recipe. Please like and subscribe to my channel. That helps to support my channel. And if you are interested in the pepper grinder or the Vidalia chopper, I'll put a link to both of those in the description, and I will also include a copy of the recipe if you would like to make it. Anyway, I hope that you all have a great day. God bless you all.